Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Stash Roundtables. We have gathered around some of the brightest minds in music to discuss everything and anything going on today. We've got an eclectic group of people in my roundtable today for thestash.com, and right now they're going to introduce themselves.
What's up? Tracy G, co-host for Sway in the Morning, BT correspondent.
I'm Eric Rosenthal, one half of the hip-hop sketch comedy group ItsTheReal.
I'm Jeff Rosenthal, the taller one.
Three of us make up ItsTheReal. Jayson Rodriguez, editorial director of REVOLT TV.
I'm Simone, Amelia, aka The Boss Lady, and I'm the host of International Affair on Dash Radio, editor at Larger Report magazine, and I'm a Virgo.
Right now.
Yeah.
My name is Nate Santos. I'm a Capricorn. I like walks on the beach, and I'm a senior staff writer at thestash.com.
My name is David Amaya. I'm a community manager over at Complex Magazine, and I am Joe LaPuma's role model.
Is there a heavy hitter out there that you're looking forward to hearing from the most? Nate, you want to start?
If you call me a heavy hitter, I would J-Rock. I think J-Rock, the releases right now have been sparse, but they've been really good. You know what I'm saying? The records are gritty. He's not doing anything like, he's doing videos in watts and stuff like that. He's not doing anything that's over the top. Yeah. And everything looks good.
And he's like the last TDE dude.
Right. So the anticipation
But he was the first. So
he was the last.
So
he went from first to last. So you should be extra hungry, which is how he sounds on the records. Parental Advisory is fire to me. Paid For It was fire to me. And they did that record together on SNL. So I mean, there hasn't been too much from him, but that just makes me believe more that.
Yep. Speaking of TDE, like I'm really interested in what Kendrick's gonna do.
Oh
because, you know,
we're talking about heavy hitters right now.
Oh, darts. I'm really interested in what Kendrick's gonna do because he had that one performance at Colbert Report, where he, I forgot the name of the song. I think it was like an untitled record.
The SNL performance.
The SNL performance is pretty crazy. You know, I has done what it's done, and he has that pressure of trying to live up to Good Kid, Mad City.
Sophomore slump is real, yo.
Do you think he's gonna live up to that, or?
Yeah, I mean, like Kendrick is one of the most contextually layered artists that we have, you know, and I mean, he can handle himself sonically. I think that he's sounding like a very, very evolved artist. Something that's great about him too is when he's working on his project, everything is off. The radio is off. The internet is off. You know, maybe the motherfucking lights are off and this dude is recording in the dark. I don't know, but he definitely concentrates on his craft so that it is completely genuine and so that it's selfish, but in a good way, meaning it's completely him and not, there's no holes that can be filled with outside influence. So I feel good about him. I feel good.
I sort of wonder how his project's going to work right now because I did sort of like peak and then disappear. Yeah. You know, like and if you're someone like J. Cole, you have a large and loyal audience that is going to be there for you, and you could just drop it like out of the blue, and it'll work. I don't know if Kendrick can do that. He's sort of like. I feel like
because as popular as he
has to start a new wave.
Like, kind of new to the general public. Yeah, like we've known about him for years, but I mean, like he's just doing SNL. He's just getting these big looks, and there's plenty of people who've done these big shows and got these big looks and have still flopped.
I know what you're saying though. Sorry to cut you off, but in terms of sound, J. Cole's sound from beginning to end has been quite similar with a little variation here and there, but it was a jump for Kendrick. So I get what you mean. Like
it's more of a risk. Yeah. For a sophomore project, it's more of a risk.
But you know what? But I sounds like the Grammy Award winning
Kendrick
single.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
It doesn't sound like Iggy Azalea at all.
Like I sound like, even though I was just saying that. For real. Even though I was just saying how Kendrick, he wants to make it. It's a priority for him not to have any influence. But the first time I heard I was like, this sounds like a Macklemore record.
It does.
That was the first thing I said. You know what I mean? So in order for you to be considered for Grammy, you have to be able to make music that is transferable from races to genres. You know what I mean? You can hide the medicine in the candy, so to say, which he does on there, but it's it's a socially responsible record, and Grammy committees love that.
I thought I too did a good job of just resetting, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like we have all these expectations where it's like, yo, Kendrick is crazy. What's he gonna do? He's gonna put out the ill single. He's
I think Control did a lot of that.
Sure. Also, too, you know, he had a good concept conceived album.
Yeah.
Like, every song was good. So it's like you know the ammo that he's working with. So people expected him to go like super Kendrick on the single. So it's like that, and then aesthetically, what he did was stripping down. Like I think in a way, it's like he's managing our expectations.
It's a new sound.
Yes.
What we think, and it's like from there, he's taking his time, and then
Right.
we'll see what he does.
It's a new sound. It's like taking a show that you love and putting it in a new city. You know what I mean? And some of the same characters, but it's just a reset, like you said. So he's working.
Now, a guy that I'm really, I'm always interested in hearing about is Kanye West. You know, he put out. There's a guy he's from Chicago. I mean, Kanye, he put out the single with that. Kind of features Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
I don't know. That guy has a bright future.
Guy who's not egos, right? Yeah.
But yeah, you know, there's not really a narrative for him right now. You know, he's super popular and everybody knows who he is. And
There it is.
no, I mean, as far as like when you first heard Only One, you know, it was so dedicated to his mother and his daughter, and you know, he's married to this super famous. Whatever you
Selfie artist.
Yes, exactly.
I'm kind of wondering, like, what's he gonna do? You know, like
I hope he's angry about something, because it's always been.
Jesus was angry.
Well, I've been rather curious about him being so mute about all of these like social issues that I would think he would be at the forefront.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
He's internalizing it.
But isn't that the excitement of like a Kanye album? Like every single one sounds so different aside from Late Registration. But like that's like where you don't know how if Kendrick is going to sort of follow that path, you know, like. But Kanye, every single time you're just like you expect one thing and it's just totally left field.
Very true.
That's why I was surprised you said the narrative thing, because I think with him, he's like the rap David Bowie, where it's like he assumes a different identity every album, and what he's doing is directly influencing the music that we hear.
Right.
And it's like, you know, if he hasn't spoken about anything, who's to say that it won't happen?
Exactly.
Right? Like, when New Slaves came out, we had no idea that he was going to address some of those things, or this
speaking to the future.
album was going to be so aggressive. And it's like,
Maybe he's learned to internalize things first.
Right.
Maybe. I mean, and even that would be interesting to see how he like processes stuff, and months later he comes up and figures out how he can address something. But I think I used to think that like Eminem was like the foremost dude of like putting forth the narrative, where we knew about Kim and Haley and different things that was going on. But you know, I think Kanye has since grabbed that mantle, and it's like we pay attention to his personal story, and what he does on a day in day out basis affects his music, and we care about it in a way that's not necessarily like paparazzi, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, I wonder how this is going to affect his music, or I wonder how this is going to tie in.
Sheer
to
curiosity.
That. Exactly, yeah. So I think for that, like he oftentimes runs a little brilliant, but I do think that he is a brilliant artist, and you tend to see that in the output that he produces.
By the way, you are coming across very smart right now, and you're making all of us look.
That's freestyle.
As rap fans, are we still interested in a new Jay-Z album if there was one to come?
Yes.
Amaya?
Why not? Like,
I mean, Flex said, you know, he's only puts out one hot single every month.
Magna Carta was trash.
Wow.
To me. I don't like it.
I thought Magna Carta was trash?
Don't like it.
Mm.
And I'm a huge Jay-Z
fan. Go for it.
Huge Jay-Z fan. But that wasn't what I wanted to hear from Jay. Like, with I think it was like, 2-week rollout?
Yeah.
You
right
expected something like amazing. You know, like something like Watch the Throne. But it was trash. I regret buying
no. I say not. But this is my thing when it comes to Jay. When people are like, "Oh, I'm tired of him. He needs to move out the way." Blah blah blah. One, he already addressed that on Already Home. But two, it's like one of my best friends saw Michael Jordan score 50 points at age 40. I would love to have him stuck around to see that. So it's just like, even if you think Jay-Z's trash, which he's not,
He never will be.
To get like one good song an album or two good songs an album, please keep putting out stuff.
And I love the fact that he's fearless, because there are so many artists like a Missy Elliott or that living legends really that are so scared to put out music because of the climate and how things change. To me, Jay is so fearless because he does it through the love. Like he was going to retire how many years ago?
Yeah.
So I give him props for that. And like you said, I don't expect a classic album from him from start to finish anymore. I don't. But I enjoy what I do get from him because he's one of our,
Right. But I also think he does it for the business. Which is not a bad thing. Which makes me say
to everything else he does.
Absolutely.
It's a billboard for everything else he does.
Right. And so speaking of billboard, I want to see how he's gonna make this album an event. Like more so. I don't want to say more so, but perhaps equally to the music. I want to see like the publicity side of this, the strategy that goes into it.
See, I don't. I just want to hear him rap.
That's where I think he screwed up on the last album because that's where all the backlash came from. It was like I don't like how this album is being delivered.
I don't like this app. This album is whack.
Right.
A lot of that.
Why am I getting this for free?
Yeah, but there's two things about that. One is maybe he was really ahead of the curve with that because it's not so crazy that that's going to be like this sort of
Wasn't
future
that
of
Flex's idea?
But the other thing is too, I'm sort of surprised that Jay hasn't, and maybe he will, sort of go to this whole single idea where like Drake just does drop like singles on his.
I can see that.
Yeah, and
totally
on his SoundCloud, and it gets huge and Grammy nominated, and it's legit, right? And it doesn't have to be an album necessarily. Like Jay doesn't have to put together 10, 11, 12 songs. He could just do.
He doesn't have to prove anything anymore.
Not at all.
Yeah. You would say,
But don't you think that's kind of like what's been a drawback to him? Like, he doesn't have much to prove anymore.
It's interesting you say that, right? That's why like Watch the Throne was so ill, right? Because it's the challenge. It was the knives, sharpening knives thing, and then the blueprint kind of the same thing. It's like you hear like when Beyonce talks about like, oh, I had this person set up in that studio and that person in that studio, and it was a challenge and it was inspiring me. And it's like obviously like Jay is the best as competition rises. At this point, like. It's the ghost of his own. Like he's competing against himself. He's not even competing against himself. He's competing against the ghost of himself.
That's why
you say that's right there.
Yeah, it's like he's really pushing the boundaries of stuff, and it's like that's why when you have like roundtables or any discussions about you talk about Jay, it's like you can go on for 2 hours.
You really can.
Jay alone, and but what you said is interesting. Paying attention to how he's going to roll the album out, and it's like I'm curious to hear everybody else's opinion on that. Like. How is Drake going to put out an album? Or Kendrick, like, is it cool to just like, well, let me put out the street single, the regular single, and here's the album. It's like,
almost like that's the new strategy.
That's normal.
Exactly.
That's the protocol.
It's almost like that's the new challenge.
It almost has to have a little bit of magic to it because I feel like Nas's last album had magic to it. The way it was rolled out.
I still say #life is good. That is the most long-standing hashtag.
And I really feel like, and not to discredit the Def Jam team because they did an incredible job, but there was a little magic surrounding it. There was a little magic. So to answer your question, I honestly, at this point, we've seen it all. We've seen Beyonce drop an album out of nowhere. We've seen people lead up for months. I don't care how it's dropped. I care about the content.
Is there somebody right now that's kind of like lurking in the shadows that isn't really getting talked about a lot that you think is going to surprise people?
Amaya.
Nicki Minaj talked about him really.
Who's lurking in the shadows?
Well, you know who I mean, she's not really lurking in the shadows, but she was off Instagram for a while. She made her return. I just want to go into the Def Jam R&B trunk and pull out Rihanna. You know. Yes.
You forgot.
I never forgot.
Because when Rihanna, her albums are always huge events as well, and then we haven't seen her take a break ever, and just like
I think it's the longest we've gone with Rihanna too. And Bieber too. No, not even trolling. Like that last Journals project was really good, and I think all the surrounding, stuff that goes on in his life about, whatever he's doing, being a wild teenager, kind of overshadowed that. He put out some pretty good music.
Boss Lady's not into it.
You're not with
No,
the
I'm not.
bees?
No, but I'm actually thinking about who's lurking. I think I'm just trying to think of like I don't see Rihanna as lurking. I see she's ever present to me.
But her music is.
that's what I mean, music, right?
I mean, it's only been a minute. I feel like it hasn't been that long.
I think ever since Rihanna.
In Rihanna time, it's long.
Yeah, Rihanna.
But
album
every November. Yeah.
There's been like every November since she's been an active artist, she's put out an album.
Yeah.
So this is probably the longest that she's went without dropping an official project.
Yeah, but it's coming. You know what I mean? Like that's not lurking in the shadows to me. That's like it's that train's gonna always come.
Yeah. To me, I think somebody who's kind of lurking, who might surprise people, is a guy like Travis Scott, who, you know, put out Days Before Rodeo that was like critically acclaimed. Everybody's been seeing these wild live shows that he does, and you know, he's kind of just always been around, but you know, he hasn't really put out an official major label album. And I think he's that guy who has a formula to have that one smash single that becomes like a household record that everybody knows about.
He's who Kanye's worried about.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
Travis Scott's not only like a super genius, but he also has some new people working with him like at the label who are super geniuses, and those people will connect and actually like put out something really, really quality.
Yeah.
Eric knows something and he's not telling you.
I'm like, oh,
you
gotta go.
That is a good one. And like when A-Track put together the piece that he did for that.
Local.
Yeah. Well, no. He wrote
end of the year.
Oh, right. A piece where he kind of described like what this next generation of hip hop is and where it's trending towards, and he tapped Travis Scott as sort of like the forefront of that. And so it'll be interesting to see like what he delivers, because this is like too dramatic to say like, oh, it'll be a seismic change. Like, it won't be that, but it will help to, you know, create like a new thread into hip hop where it's just like the you know, is exciting as Kendrick is, like, you know, he fits into like a very like conventional like idea of what we think of hip hop, whereas like Travis Scott is like pulling at the conventions and pushing at the box, and you don't necessarily know like what
it's not really, it's a lot harder to categorize what he does as an artist.
And it's like, is he going to be on the side, or if with his success, we create a new box, and it's just like this right there.
I think also somebody that no one's mentioned, which I think is going to be a huge album this year, knowing nothing, like no insider stuff or whatever, just based off his prior songs, and I know at least one person at this table is way into this, French Montana. French.
I want to hear about this, please.
But I didn't love Don't Panic, but I believe that everything else will be. It is a grower. But
Ball Drop
runs off
on Fab's album. Crazy.
Excuse My French was a good album, but entertaining.
A good album?
It was a fun album.
Yeah,
it's a fun album. Jeff, what would you say
Jeff,
it is?
are you a French
classic
fan?
album. I am.
I'm getting there.
The first 8 songs are perfect. Perfect.
Not even like joking.
No, not
completely serious.
Until Freaks, like everything is perfect.
Good album.
Yeah, not good album, great album, classic album.
All right.
But he's got to drop something this year. I mean,
yes.
He just put out the joint with Fraud.
Yeah.
Which did sound good.
Yeah.
Some of the records.
I thought every song on it was like really, really good.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, you know, 2015 is a very exciting year of music, and we're looking forward to all these new albums dropping. I want to thank you guys for coming through and talking with us, and we'll see you guys.